Good afternoon. I'm Matt.
And I'm Dave.
And welcome to this week's Mastermind. Sorry, Dave, you were going to jump in now, weren't you?
I was all ready for that one. Yeah.
Sorry. Today's topic is going to be the eBay versus Amazon. Is that right, Dave?
That's the one. We're doing eBay and Amazon compared. What are the key differences between the two marketplaces? What are the similarities? And basically just a rundown of what it is that you need to know, what the key differences are, and how you can utilize that to basically be the best seller that you can be.
I don't think I could have said that any better, Dave. Thank you. Now, just a quick reality check. We do hold these masterminds live every Tuesday at 3 p.m. GMT/BST, because we've just been hit British summertime now. Same time every week. We pick a topic, and you can check on the YouTube channel for next week's topic and the next couple of topics following that one as well. Now, with that said, Dave, we were just chatting about this offline, which is that if we were having this discussion, this comparison between Amazon and eBay, or eBay and Amazon, a year ago, this conversation would have been very different, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. You know, this what we've seen due to the recent spring updates or the autumn updates from eBay have really led us, and we've used the term quite a lot before, the Amazonification of eBay. And this is the simple term of saying that eBay is becoming more and more like Amazon over the recent years, and is continuing to seem to follow that trend throughout 2018 going forwards as well. So that's it's a crucial one to be aware of, is that the comparison that we're drawing today between eBay and Amazon is much different to the one that would have been perhaps a year ago, or certainly 3 years ago. As eBay is definitely, as Amazon continues to grow and eBay almost continues to try and catch up.
Yeah, it's a curious one. Again, it's the we are catching. Well, we are recording this at a great time of change as far as eBay goes, and they have. We'll get into some of the updates, but they have just started to really push a unified catalog. It's been a bit of a wet fish release so far. Obviously, that's my personal opinion, but it did kind of fall short from what it could have been. It's a very curious time, to say the least. Now, one thing which we want to just stress, like from the very beginning, this isn't like a clear-cut case that one of them is better than the other. So eBay is not necessarily better than Amazon, and Amazon is not necessarily better than eBay. Our advice has been and will be for the foreseeable future that both marketplaces should be the subject of your attention, especially for your e-commerce business, because there's a crossover of customers between the two marketplaces or two sites, but there are customers on eBay and there are customers on Amazon who don't shop on the opposite platforms, and this game, e-commerce as a game, it really is just a game of eyeballs, getting people to see your products. And that's the thing which I am going off on a slight tangent. It does have this thing with the purpose, which is the thing which we must all remember is that selling on eBay is not necessarily being part of the community and having your feedback stars getting bigger, and the same for Amazon, whatever. It's not that. It's about making money at the end of the day, and the fees which you pay to both eBay and Amazon are marketing fees, just as if you were running an affiliate campaign and you had a monthly fee and affiliate commissions to get paid, or you had a Google AdWords campaign, for example, or you had another form of advertising. This is what the fees are. There's not confuse this, okay? And the eBay and Amazon, for all intents and purposes, charge very similar amounts for the same type of categories. Obviously, there's some disparities between subcategories, but as a general rule of thumb, they are pretty much like for like when it comes to fees. And remember, fees, they are not your dues to be part of the community and all that other rubbish. No, it's a straightforward marketing fee, and that sometimes gets forgotten with the passion which goes on. Now, they are two very, very different marketplaces, and that doesn't actually hold true. We'll find out in a few moments, but I just wanted to really stress that point. eBay fees, Amazon fees, they're both marketing fees, just as other fees to your business for marketing, like AdWords, for example, or affiliates or whatever, like that. Sorry, Dave.
So I guess to start off with, we can do the straight comparison with size. Now, back when we started understanding EMA and long time before then, eBay was the largest marketplace out there. In fact, maybe when we started UE, they were around a similar size. But eBay was probably still slightly bigger. Whereas now that is no longer the case. Amazon has grown so incredibly over the last, well, since it started, really, but certainly in the last sort of 5 to 10 years, moving in from just selling books and media to now selling pretty much anything you can think of. They are now the most dominant marketplace, e-commerce marketplace in the Western world. Again, not dragging Alibaba into this. Now, that's a curious one as well, because, again, when we look at Amazon, they have a lot of strings on their bow. You know, they're not just an e-commerce marketplace. They are a seller, so they are one of your competitors. They also private label, so they manufacture their own products. They also are a logistics company. They own their own logistics now. They're a warehouse company, so they own their own warehousing, which we all know through FBA. They're their own instant video streaming service, their own version of Spotify and iTunes with Amazon Music. The Kindle, their own products. So again, with Kindles and Fires and TV sticks and the homes, the Alexa devices, the Echo devices. They literally have their fingers in nearly every pie imaginable when it comes to e-commerce. And perhaps the biggest one,
every pie going.
Yeah, pretty much. And the biggest one, Matt, is Prime, is their subscription model. That is by far and away perhaps the biggest win that Amazon ever brought about.
Yeah, I think, Dave, you're absolutely right on this one. And there was a video which I was watching. I think the YouTube channel was called Company Man. Really, really cool guy. And he looks at all these different companies. And one very recently he did, which was Costco. Now, I'm sure most of you know Costco is basically where we didn't know, basically where they make their real money is in the subscriptions. And those subscriptions repeating over a period of time. And they obviously it's warehouse. They have what closeout deals, warehouse deals, because their store is basically a warehouse, and you buy them instead of buying a pack of 24, you buy a whole box full of packs of 24. And while they obviously make some money on the products themselves, I think they're only just getting somewhere near. Again, you need to see the video by Company Man on this, but they were still way below, say, Walmart, for example, in profits. But that was on the profitability of the products themselves. But where Costco really make their money is in the subscriptions. Now, that is a very curious thing when it comes to this, when you compare eBay to Amazon, is because Amazon customers, the people who buy frequently from Amazon, will pretty much undoubtedly have a Prime subscription. So they'll pay, as at the moment in the United Kingdom, is about £80 per year. So it could be seen to be a similar model to a Costco model, whereas that £80 could be classed as £80 profit, and the medium really is just to send out products. Mm-hmm. And they actually make their 80 quid per person or per household, and that's where they make their money to. And that is a very, very curious thing when you compare it to eBay, because eBay don't charge. eBay's customers are you as business owners. They're not the people who are visiting the site necessarily, although that could be argued because they have started, or they have included off-site adverts on the site for a long period of time, or something which is I'm not a big fan of. I personally feel, and Dave, you have a similar ads on Amazon, so maybe we can push that one to one side for now. But it is very much a curiosity. eBay makes their money from you as a business seller, not the actual customer themselves. Whereas the Amazon have got this on both sides of the table. is that they make money. They make money from their customers who pay the Prime subscription, and they make money from you who sell on the marketplace, and they sell on their own marketplace too. So I don't think it's any great surprise that at this moment in time they have overtaken eBay, and I don't foresee that's going to slow down anytime in the foreseeable future, to be honest. But
no, I think it's only going to. I was going to say it's only going to get bigger. I think that all the initial investment and time and resource that they've had to build these warehouses, the FBA centers, they're looking at building a second headquarters somewhere else in America. Just launched in Australia. Talks about Brazil and South Korea and parts of Middle East and Asia. This global reach of Amazon is only going to get bigger. And yes, whilst the initial cost of setting up and starting is hefty and sometimes can throw investors into a bit of a whirl on the quarterly reports, as soon as Amazon turn that to profit and stop the investment and things are finished and start working, it's just dollar bill signs over and over and over again. And
yeah, this is, and Dave, you've actually hit on another point here, which is a fundamental difference between eBay and Amazon, is that eBay has to report a growth and a profit to a board, which Amazon has to do, and their investors. But the difference between eBay and Amazon is that eBay has to, because that's what their investors expect. Whereas that expectation is completely, and I mean completely different from an investor stroke shareholder point of view when it comes to Amazon. Whereas Amazon are basically saying, we're playing the long game. We might make profit, we might not. Suck it up. We're playing the long game. And that's basically what they said.
I don't think Amazon didn't make profit for the first 10 or 11 years. And spent a lot of money, a lot of money in a lot of debt and a lot of losses on the balance sheet. But then I think after 2 quarters of them turning profit, they'd pretty much made everything back. The numbers were incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is again, it's just one of the differences between the marketplaces once you just scrape behind the surface, to say the least. Now, scraping a little bit further, again, time of change right now, the comparison between eBay and Amazon is that Amazon has always had, to my knowledge anyway, a unified catalog. One product, so one pair of safety glasses has one product record, or one iPhone has one record on the Amazon site, and multiple sellers like you sell against the item. Whereas in eBay is that it has been and it is still is an issue because they've not properly rolled this out to any great degree, is that you can go onto eBay and you search for an iPhone 4 or whatever the latest version is right now, and you could be presented with thousands of listings for what is exactly the same products. And whereas on Amazon, you've just got a single page, straightforward, and it's just condition, new, used, refurbished, or whatever. Where on eBay is that there's so many different condition types, there's so many different listings for exactly the same product. It is and can be very confusing to customers, which is something which eBay have now tried to address, or in the process of addressing, to create their own unified catalog. They've just been released their spring updates, haven't they, Dave? And personally, from my own personal opinion on this one, is that it was all a bit of, I mentioned this a bit earlier, it was a bit of a wet fish from eBay's point of view. They've only enforced catalog listings with a very, very, very small number of products compared to what it could have been or perhaps should have been on there. And now over the next year or 2 years is that they can only really, they've said that this is the route which they'll go in. They're going to be very similar to, well, the same as Amazon, with a unified catalog as best as they can. So expect a lot of change from a seller's point of view, your point of view as the e-commerce owner, over the next couple of 18 months, 24 months, something like that, because they have just put their toe in the water right now, just a couple of products. And I mean, it's just a tiny little thread of products compared to the sheer velocity of products which are out there. So they've got to pick up speed very, very quickly if they are going to move to this unified catalog in any time in the next decade. So they've set a deadline of 2 years or so. We've just had one update. I think Richard mentioned that there's potentially 6 more updates, which will was it 6 or 8 more updates?
Well, apparently in the US, in the UK, it was always spring and autumn, but apparently in the US, they've started doing summer and winter as well, doing more frequent releases. So I think there's chance for another 4 or 6, I think.
So there's a couple more updates which they could perhaps be a little bit more aggressive with them. And that's the thing is that all along eBay have just plodded along and Amazon have just been shooting on through. Prime example, Dave, we were half speaking about this thing this morning. Amazon delivery on an Easter Sunday. I had one.
Yep, I had one as well. I actually wrote a story about this on eSale Cafe this morning because the point was, and this is a great one to tie into the comparison between Amazon and eBay, and that Amazon is, as well as it's a marketplace, it is also your competitor. And to the point that, could you deliver on Easter Sunday on a next day notice? So I ordered Saturday. Matt, I presume you did the same.
I remember. I probably did it in bed.
Yeah, exactly.
No idea.
I did it, I think, 11, 12 o'clock on the Saturday afternoon. Could you give me my product with free next day delivery on Easter Sunday? Chances are no, but Amazon can. And that's the thing, is that Amazon have always painted themselves as being the perfect seller. And you have to toe that line if you're selling on Amazon. If there's any chance of you representing that Amazon logo, that Amazon brand name, you have to toe the line. And for me, they thrive at that. I mean, Matt, you had a fantastic experience with Amazon's customer support just a month or so ago.
Oh yeah, that was unbelievable. It was such a strange day because I'd gone from one point of view where Sony and their PlayStation network
let you down.
Would just let me down, and that's all I'm going to leave it as. And I felt really disappointed. And then on the opposite side, Amazon came in. And I think I was £36 down for 550 quid's worth. Thumbs up. Confidence from a buyer's point of view.
And you were well into the day. It wasn't like next day you had the problem, was it? It was a good period of time.
Oh yeah, I was still within the 30 days window. Put it this way, it was so much easier. Imagine if I'd bought so many separate products from eBay sellers and tried returning them. It would have just been an absolute nightmare. Whereas Amazon just said, yes, I need a couple of, remember on the live chat, of course, give me a couple of minutes and we'll sort the return out for you. The bloke did it all for me and said, print this off and the courier will be with you on whatever day, tomorrow. So absolutely fascinating from that point of view. Again, I don't think that could have been, I would not have had that experience from eBay. And Dave, this is it's a curiosity. It's a flag for you to be aware of, which is that Dave has mentioned just a few moments ago, is that Amazon can be your competitor. Amazon does have extremely high standards and is also very diverse. I think that's a very good summary of Amazon so far. Whereas eBay has really just sucked their heels in and said, we are a marketplace. Now, I don't feel, again, personal opinion, that that stance, we are just a marketplace, is going to be it's going to be watertight over the next couple of years. Again, there's other things going on. Remember, there was a split with PayPal, which was the more profitable piece for it. And now eBay are now saying that they're going to drop PayPal completely and do their own payment intermediary or gateway. And that's going to be a lot of a shock to the system. So there is this big shock waiting to happen to eBay customers, which normally don't get touched by any of this stuff which is going on in the background. For them, it's very simple. They either shop on eBay or Amazon and probably do both. But the thing is from a seller's point of view, is that there's this big wave about to happen, this tsunami. We just don't know what's going to happen from it. And that's pending in, is it 2020, Dave? Something like that, maybe?
I believe so.
Yeah, so it's hard there is so for two sites which basically do exactly the same thing, which allow you to buy products from them. They are two vastly different experiences. And the reason why they're two vastly different experiences is because one of them, you're going to have to excuse me, I just put my phone on mute, is that one of them is that you as an eBay seller or a business owner for which is outside of Amazon who don't have your products in FBA, is that you are at a serious competitive disadvantage, because every time I order from eBay, it's late. Oh, actually, with the exception of a light piece back for a Vauxhall Severa, a whole lighting unit, I ordered it in the morning. It turned up next day. Absolute shocked. No, genuinely shocked.
Yeah, yeah.
I need to go on and give that bloke such a stunning review, because it's just not the norm for next day delivery from eBay. Whereas on Amazon is that, if to be honest, if it's not here by this afternoon, it does feel a little bit late if it's there tomorrow. And that tomorrow could be an Easter Sunday. Very, very peculiar. And of course, eBay do not have any of this fulfillment network. They do not have, just don't have anything like it. Amazon have pulled themselves so far away is that they're almost untouchable in what they've been and managed to achieve so far.
It's interesting what you say there, because actually we've just had Mike on the chat. Hey, Mike, he said, I just purchased a new DSLR camera on eBay, ordered it on Sunday, got it this morning, free delivery on a bank holiday weekend. Well done, Curry's eBay. That's great. I mean, and to be fair to Curry's eBay, they are one of the bigger stores on eBay. They are, I don't want to say who I think is still managing them. They have multi-channel software involved, and they are one of the better and stores who've been around a long time and will have good processes in place.
Yeah, and Dave's just picking up something. Dave just mentioned the good processes. They probably have a logistical advantage, which they're able to get product into a network on odd days. You tried doing that to Royal Mail. Could you have taken an item to the post office? Did you have a collection on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday? Which, and by the way, Friday was a bank holiday, and Monday was a bank holiday in the United Kingdom. Chances are not. Whereas the Amazon, if the product was in their fulfillment network, it could be dispatched, and as far as they're concerned, any day is a delivery day bar Christmas Day. I think that's one day which they've not tried yet. Anyway, fulfillment by Amazon, massive competitive advantage for Amazon, big competitive advantage for you as well. So, Mike, that is actually fantastic to hear. Not normally heard of as far as eBay goes, because it's always a day at least, normally several days behind. Dave, do you want to read out Scott's comment?
Yeah,
as well?
Scott's made a good one here as well. He says, what do you think about the automatic Amazon emails from sellers requesting reviews, etc.? As I see Amazon is doing them itself nowadays, is it worth us paying for a service to send our own?
Right. So, Scott, let me just answer that directly to you. Yes. No brainer. Do it. Okay. Now, this is another area which I'm perhaps a little bit unique being able to say this as well. It's what makes some of these masterminds very cool to do, is that I can actually tell you from like a developer's point of view, somebody who is going to spend time and money in developing an app or apps, as the case is plural, it's very much as the case right now, is that eBay, I have the confidence that it's going to hang around. And it's going to be around for a long period of time, 5 years. Okay, in my head, I am happy with that. If I spend X thousands of pounds now to create an app which may or may not take off in a period of time, and that period of time is 5 years, I'm quite happy with that. But I do have this question mark beyond the 5 years. On the other hand, is that if I ask myself about the same thing when it comes to Amazon, am I prepared to put several thousand pounds worth of money and time and effort and hours of time, effort and energy into building an app for eBay, for Amazon, Well, there isn't any doubt in the back of my head. And absolutely, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I think that is going to be more apparent over a longer period of time when we start now, where there's many multi-channel tools out there. I think that the more focus will become towards Amazon or Amazon-based apps. So, Scott, so the answer is absolutely yes, and that's also something which we'll be extending, and looking at more properly in the very foreseeable future as well when it comes to Amazon. So, yeah, good question. Sorry, Dave, get us back on topic.
Yeah, so with that said, we've obviously spoken about the dominance of Amazon and the key sort of differences between eBay and Amazon and where they sort of fit in for two websites which do practically the same thing, how they are actually now quite different. Now, I'd like to talk about, Matt, what this actually means for people listening to this as sellers. And I think we're on the same wavelength here when we say, ultimately, you should still be on both. You should still be selling on eBay. You should still be selling on Amazon because, as Matt rightly said at the beginning, there's some people who will only shop on eBay and some people who will only shop on Amazon. The numbers game makes sense that you should be on both. But also there are a few niche areas where eBay will still outperform Amazon. So immediately springing to mind is something which I had a lot of experience with a few years ago, which was refurbished products. eBay will always be a better, or not always, will largely always be a better platform for you due to you not being able to get the buy box on Amazon if the product is not brand new. Now, there are nuances to that. There are things like Amazon warehouse deals and stuff like that, which we could get into. But as a general rule, refurbished or used or whatever it may be, will largely do better on eBay. Then there's also things that are like the harder to find, the collectibles, the antique stuff, the stuff which are like one-offs. eBay's just naturally, that was eBay's bread and butter many, many years ago.
Dave, you're absolutely right. I still remember buying 3 knackered lawnmowers.
I remember. I remember this.
3 knackered lawnmowers are making one good one out of them. I got 2 from one place, and he couldn't believe that I wanted them. And they got another one from another guy, which he couldn't believe that I wanted because it rusted out. But I wasn't after the frame. I was after certain parts out of it and the engine. And you're absolutely right. There are things which you can only find on the eBay marketplace. Now, there is one other little tangent I just want to go off on, is there are now mobile-based apps aimed at a youth area, so 16 to 22-ish, to be able to trade and swap their items very, very quickly. The green one, I've forgotten, begins with S.
Spot, is that the one?
There you go, sorry. So there are, and again, they've done an awful lot of TV advertising, and this is I know that I'm taking us off on a slight tangent, but it does have a point, which is that eBay and Amazon have the eyeballs, the customer eyeballs. So that's the point which Dave's trying to make, is that these eBay and Amazon, they're not going anywhere anytime quickly. Okay, they're not going to snap and disappear. If whatever went terribly wrong with Amazon, somebody would want to buy it. There's a lot of money to be had there. They would have to do things really badly. The same with eBay. It is at such a large degree is that it's not just going to fall over and wilt and die instantly. It would be done over a very, very long period of time. And the reason why that will happen is because they have the eyeballs, they have the brand awareness. For anybody, and I mean any competitor, to get into this kind of environment, they have to, there's no other ways around it. They would have to spend an absolute obscene amount of money to get the eyeballs. And Dave, talking of eyeballs, there was one. There isn't really a competitor to eBay and Amazon in the Western world. There's things like Alibaba and so on.
Not on the same scale, for sure. There's lots of other marketplaces, but I mean, Matt, just talk about auctions. We've had MadBid, GoofBid, eBid, all try and take on the auctions that eBay did, and they just never get traction.
Which I've forgotten.
Yeah. they just never get the traction. They've not got the audience. And it's just, you know, that there are lots of other great marketplaces out there, very niche marketplaces. You know, Flubbit as being one, Top Hatter's another, Newegg, but they just are not comparable size-wise to the giants that are eBay and Amazon.
Yeah, and there are other companies out there, so which can get to like niches, like Auto Trader.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's
Alfred's have a marketplace, I believe. Game have a marketplace. GameSeek is another one.
These little niches, they do exist, and the companies which have gone into these niches are doing well. I'm not going to say thriving because I don't know, I can't tell like say that to you, but they exist and they are doing well. I know there was some. I sort of remember reading a bit about Game. They have done really quite well lately. So there are other companies which have done really specialized in one area. There was one wild card which I want to throw into the mix for you. And we've got our hands up. I haven't really done much about this year to really talk about this, which is that last year, after doing YouTube, I can sit here in front of you and point blank tell you from somebody who sold, what was it, $380,000 worth of kit via YouTube, that YouTube really is the third marketplace, is that everybody's been looking for this competitor to, or this other option compared to eBay and Amazon. And normally we would say, well, there isn't one unless you want to go further afield. And actually the reality was their stuff staring us all in the face all along, is that if you're willing to spend some time, effort and energy, YouTube is a very viable and potentially very lucrative sales platform itself. And you don't have to be salesy. You can look up our previous videos on YouTube and you'll find out on the topic of YouTube, and you can find out more details about that. So yeah, I think that's probably one thing which is probably rolling around in your head right now. I mean, well, it's Matt and Dave that talked about eBay and Amazon, but what about competitors? Well, outside of the Western world, there really isn't anything. And there, I think it is worth just bringing up AliExpress, Alibaba, and a couple of the other options as well for the Western, for the Eastern world, which is right now, much stuff doesn't flow that way. Everything kind of comes this way. So as far as you're concerned as a sales platform, probably not, if brutally honest. And then when you hear I'm going to go into rant mode, okay? When you hear marketing BS and there's a little flag, Spidey flag, which is going to go off in the back of your head, telling you that Brazil is the next big marketplace. What? That is a tool or something really getting desperate with the marketing side, because it may be an emerging market, but to be frankly honest, unless you've done Ireland, the United Kingdom, the United States, Canada, Australia, and those were the English-speaking ones, and then had a bloody good swipe at Europe, then why would you bother with a country which is still lacking infrastructure, etc., etc.? Mind you, some could argue that Italy is lacking.
Italy very much lacks infrastructure.
Let's not go there. Say these.
It's a fair point.
Italy, you know what I'm on about. So, yeah. Sorry, Dave.
I was going to say the thing with Brazil. I totally get what you're saying. A lot of people want to be that old saying that the ones who are in there first are the ones who win big. I get that, but I totally agree with you. Brazil should only be on your radar if you've exhausted all other marketplace options on eBay and Amazon for your products. You know, that are out. And that's after you've done your own website in multiple countries as well. It's like the bottom of the bottom of the bottom list to kick through. Sorry, that was something I was reading the other day. And there's something as well which always gets me is like when these certain software companies say, "Oh yeah, you should use us. We have an integration to blah 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 blah. It's the #1 marketplace in Czech Republic," and you're like,
does that even exist?
No, but you're like, you know, it's like, great. How many views? How many sellers does that? How many buyers does that have? What's the audience? I don't know, but it's the #1 marketplace in the Czech Republic, and you're like, well, great. I've never sold anything to the Czech Republic, and I probably never will. So,
right. So we need to get ourselves back on topic.
Yes,
because there's some sarcasm kicking in there. But there's some serious points here to be made. And I think it's time for us to wrap up. So we're going to summarize kind of what we've covered here so far. So eBay and Amazon, as in the early part of 2018, like for like. Okay, there are differences between these two marketplaces at this present moment in time. And to be honest, in the future, there will always be differences between the marketplaces. eBay is not going to die overnight. Amazon, inversely, right now, Amazon is very much the favorite. They could screw up really badly, but to be honest, they'd have to, the same as eBay, they would have to do something really bad.
It's a bit like Facebook, isn't it? Facebook have had a bit of a shoeing in the press recently. It's hardly, yeah, it's made a dent to their stock price, but everybody
not
still
as
uses
bad
it.
as Elon Musk. Again, that's a topic, friend. Those of you, anyway, don't even go there. They're not going anywhere overnight. There, as far as the Western world goes, there is no real marketplace-based competitor. Okay, eBay and Amazon, just because of the number of customer eyeballs which are on these marketplaces, are always going to be right up there. Keeping the eyeballs idea, YouTube is a viable alternative to eBay and Amazon. Okay, but it's very different. Okay, very different. But just be aware that is, as far as I'm concerned, in my head, that is the third marketplace. It's been there, and annoyingly, it's been there in plain sight for a very long time. And unfortunately, it's taken me quite a few years to really go and work that one out, and then a year of mucking around on YouTube to go, actually, this is completely viable. So there are no real competitors, okay? But there are, and there is, lots of potential within both of the platforms, not only in your local country, but also internationally too. The point being is that if you already have product data on eBay for an item, and you've got that in third-party software, is that it would be very easy to bend that information to go and sell it onto, say, the United States or vice versa. Okay, or go to Australia with the same or very similar product information. And you can expand globally into, and again, we always suggest into the English-speaking countries first because it's just easier. You just got to put a few minor spelling mistakes in, put use in or take use out, or you know what I mean, for it. And there's lots of potential. And that's not only applicable to eBay, that's also applicable to Amazon as well. And that's before you even consider other things, or sorry, like Europe, where there's lots of different languages going on. So yeah, eBay and Amazon, huge potential, but they both work very differently. They're both not going anywhere soon. They would, like we mentioned, they'd have to be a catastrophic screw up of epic proportions for one of them to just die overnight, and that just won't happen. No. In short, even with the prime example, even eBay losing PayPal, being physically removed from the business, it's still there. It's still doing very, very well. But there are differences, and it's your goal as the business owner to really, really know what those intricacies are for your category. So me and Dave, we've been very, very high level talking about the differences between eBay and Amazon. It really is your job and your responsibility to know the nuances between eBay and Amazon down to your category level. So what is the differences, and then how do you exploit those differences to your advantage? Yeah, that's a fun one.
I think it is. And like I said, if we could do this exact webinar next year, and it could be very different.
Yeah. Is it, Dave said the nail on the head right now, big time of change when it comes to eBay. Roll on 6 months, eBay will still be in a state of change. And Amazon may have been thrown something into the mix as well. It's a very curious thing. One thing which we have always said as well, change is a good thing. Stay at the front of it. If eBay are telling you that they're changing stuff, and just follow them along, do what they're doing. If Amazon are doing something, then you be the best at what they're doing. And change with them, and ideally before anybody else has changed as well. That will give you that advantage for you and your business.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So on that note, it is time for us to wrap up. I would like to say a massive thank you to you for taking the time to join us for this live mastermind. We will be here same time next week. Dave, I can't remember the next week's topic.
Next week's topic is a good one. We'll be talking about the power of outsourcing. Love this one. Great one. Absolutely brilliant. So you're going to have to wait till next week for that one. If you want a sneak preview, I'm sure we've talked about that once or twice before. I'm not entirely sure if it's on YouTube, on this YouTube channel, but do look it up because it's on the website over at UnderstandingE.com. Going to have a nose over there. We have a whole course dedicated to it. Sorry? We have a whole course dedicated to it. I was going to say, yeah, we did a whole course on it. Absolutely brilliant. And so I'll leave you with one thought for next week, which is that the richest person in the world and the poorest person in the world, they have a difference of money, but they still only get 24 hours in one day. So what's the difference between them? How can one do more in the same amount of time? So let you think about that one. Tune in next week for the answer. Indeed, indeed. So on that note, from myself, Matt. And from me, Dave. Cheerios. Bye-bye.